Hi everyone, welcome to MBGrayDesigns. I'm Mary Beth. Today I have a trash to treasure. I picked up this tray at Goodwill. It's a Pier 1 tray from a long time ago. It was normally $10, but it probably would have been more now. I think it's really old. But I got it for, I think it said $1.99. It's kind of a metal type tray, and I did scrub this thing down. That all that stuff on the inside is just kind of like scratched in to the surface. So I cleaned it up, and I did change my mind, by the way, on this DIY several times throughout the process. So you'll see that, but that is the beauty of DIY. I have an idea, but sometimes it goes totally to something else. I knew I wanted to paint it though, for sure. And so I am using Waverly chalk paint in the color in the color plaster, sorry. And I am just painting that on. Now this thing, I'm trying to remember. I know for sure I did 2 coats, but I believe I would call it maybe like 2.5, because I did have to add a little bit of paint here and there, touch it up. So just applying that first coat now. And then after I'm done with this, I dry it. And like I said, I did at least 2 coats, a little bit probably more than 2 coats. Once I do the 2 coats, which you'll see here in just a quick moment, like I said, I dried it, did another coat. I sanded it, and what I did, and you'll see that's coming up here, I use a 220 grit sandpaper, and it's finer instead of super coarse. And the reason I do that is, see those brush strokes? I really don't like to have brush strokes, so I try to, when I apply the paint, to go, in one direction and all the way down, and do all that. But even after that, you're going to have brush strokes showing. So if you use the 220 grit sandpaper, it'll smooth out those brush strokes. And it's not going to get rid of them completely, but it really, really, really does help. So that is what I'm getting ready to do right here. I'm just going to go through. I mean, I got it pretty smooth, but you probably can't tell. But there's definitely, well, I guess you can tell, there's paint brush strokes in there. So I'm going through, and I'm just going to sand everything and make it smooth. After I did that, I was thinking I would distress a little bit, but I then decided against it. I didn't really want that kind of antique gold, although it would be pretty, but I did not want that showing through on the underneath. So I just went through and sanded just to make it smooth. And where we got sanding, let's see. I think I'm almost done sanding. And what did I do next? Oh, I know. Then after I did all the sanding, cleaned it up, so you can get rid of all that sand dust, I got my wax out and decided I wanted to seal it with wax. In this one, I used the clear wax from the company's called DIY Paint. And I like that wax a lot. I have used the Waverly, but I prefer the wax consistency of wax and not really a liquid consistency. That's just a preference. Although I do like the Waverly wax as well. So don't take that wrong. It's good also. But anyway, I used this, went through and waxed it really, really well. All over the place. And you can notice at the bottom on that handle, I missed some with the paint. Can you see that? I did go back and touch that up later, but I think that was off camera. But just so you know, I did go back and touch it up. And sorry about the coming through blurriness. So what I decided to do is, see where I tried to distress at the top. I didn't really like that. So I have this rope that I got from Amazon. But you could use twine, whatever you want. And I decided, okay, I'm going to put it at the bottom. My initial intention was to wrap the whole would that be right? With, the deepness of it all the way around, round and round. But those handles, since they're kind of built in, are in the way. I could have still done it. I would have had a cut rope, and, it just seemed to be a lot more work. So what I did is, lost some footage, but I put the rope around the top and I put it around the bottom. You can see that there. This next clip, for a little bit of this video, you're going to see I actually was recording with my voice also. So I'm explaining some things, and that's why you'll see my hands going a little nutso there, because I talk with my hands all the time. But what I decided to do is I'm going to Mod Podge this pretty paper on the inside. And this is just some scrapbook paper. Well, actually, it's cardstock paper, but it was in a paper pack that I got. And yeah, so I'm talking about make sure, when you're measuring and cutting, to cut your paper in the correct direction, right? Because I've done that many times. And so I wanted that wood grain look to be kind of long and not short going across, if that makes any sense. So what I did is I measured and then I cut, and then that's why I had two. Thankfully, this paper pack comes with two of each design. So then I was able to match it up as kind of good, as best as I could, I guess, and then cut off enough just to fit on the bottom part of the tray, because the tray was longer than 12 inches and the paper are 12 inches. So if I had to guess, I think the tray was maybe 15 inches long, roughly. So what I'm doing here is I'm just measuring what I need to cut off to fit inside there. And I think the wood, I got it matched up kind of good. But you're going to see, I was not planning on doing anything too much on the inside. But after I did the Mod Podge, which I'm going to do now, and by the way, I did a very even, thin layer on the bottom of the tray. And then, looks like I had a little something there. And then I will also do a thin layer on the back of each of these pieces of paper. I'm trying to avoid, as best as I can, having too many bubbles. So I do that, and I line up the second piece of paper here. I'm going to be lining that up. Here's the thing. I didn't want to overlap it. I thought that would be really obvious. And when I lined it up and kind of butted it up against each other, it looks okay. But it bothered me that you can still see a seam. I mean, really, that's what it came down to. And I thought, I don't like that. I can see the seam. So I knew I was going to have to come up with something for that. But first things first, I go ahead then and put another thin layer of Mod Podge on the top. And I made sure to, even though I'm going in one direction, where the two meet, I did kind of go back and forth on that. I really wanted those two seams to be very, very sealed down, because at this point I didn't know what I was going to do. So yeah, I just continued to do that. You see some little bubbles there. What I did, I let it dry, but I kept using my hand and trying to rub out those bubbles. I also used a bone folder, which helped, or you could use a brayer or just anything to smooth it out. So I decided I was going to put this ribbon down over the seam. I really like this ribbon. I got it at Tuesday Morning a long time ago. It's actually like jute and polyester or something, like more jute than polyester, but it reminds me of linen. It's kind of feels like the texture of linen, and I really like it. I like the look of it. So I decided to cut a longer piece because I really wanted to fold those ends up and give it kind of a cleaner seam on each end. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just hot gluing that down. And then that way, when I put it onto the tray, to me, it just looked more finished with the ends done that way. So I'm just hot gluing that in, using my wire cutter to help me, because I burnt myself really bad on this project on my pinky at one point. I don't remember which point that was, but All right, so I used my Cricut, and I found this cute little design of this bunny silhouette, and then it says hippity hop. The design was a stencil, which would be totally cute if you did it as a stencil, but I reversed it or whatever so that I could do it not as a stencil, so that the vinyl cuts out so that it's a bunny, and then the words hippity hop. So that's what I'm doing here, and I used kind of this ivory beige color. I thought that looked well since kind of went with the ribbon and the color of the tray, and then against the dark wood paper. Now, if you do not have a Cricut, I only got mine, or any electronic cutting machine. I just got mine at Christmas time, so I've been using it just because, it's new and I'm enjoying it, learning and whatever. But you could do, like I said, the stencil. You could do any stencil you'd like. You could print off something on your computer and just use graphite paper or scribble on the back of it with pencil or something, or trace the back of it, whatever, and put it onto your piece, and then use a paint pen, however you want to do it. You don't even have to put anything on here. The reason what I ended up deciding to do is, rather than this being used as a tray, although it still could be, the vinyl is, flat on there, I decided that I would use this more as a decorative piece that would be standing up, or you could hang it up or whatever, leaning up against something. That's what I decided to do. And I used hippity hop, which, if you want to use this all year round, you may not want to use that. Maybe you have a saying or florals or something else that you'd want to put in there. But I thought this would be a good one for spring. And that's why I did the hippity hop. That's so fun to say. Hippity hop. So I pulled out a bunch of flowers. At first I was thinking, ooh, these like ivory roses would look really pretty. But I didn't want like a huge florals, like a large amount of florals at the top. I just kind of wanted a little something over that area of the ribbon at the top. It'd be like your top right, I think, when you're looking at it. So I went through and I'm trying to figure out, which I don't know about you guys, but to be honest with you, this part takes me a long time. I'm not really quick at figuring out what's going to look good, what type of flowers, blah, blah, blah. So I mess with it a lot. And in the end, I ended up not using the lamb's ear. I did use the lavender, and then I just used some greenery. I think it's maybe like that boxwood, but you'll see here in a minute. At this point, I was like, I don't want to put you guys through this, so I'll just show you after I put it together. But it's very simple. It's just that boxwood. I think that's what that is, and then the lavender. And so I just wanted to make a little bow to kind of tie it together at the bottom of the florals. So I just simply, made like a circle with the ribbon, pinched it together, tied a piece of twine around it, and then I like to wrap the twine around several times just because I like that look, and then I double knotted it, and that was it for that part of the bow. And then what I did is I just cut off some more ribbon, and just, I was making the tails basically. It's kind of cheating, I guess, but it works for me. So yeah, I'm just kind of maneuvering that, and I will hot glue the tails down first, and then I'll go ahead and hot glue the bow on top of that. And I think it gives it a really cute look. And for this bow, the tails, I actually just cut it slanted. I didn't do like, what's that called? The dovetail or whatever it's called. I just slanted the cut at the end is what I decided to do on this one. So the other one already had kind of a slant, so I left it. But yeah, there you go. I think it turned out so super cute, and I've got a few pictures here to show you. I just think it looks so adorable. But see, I have it standing up. But again, you could hang it up. You could use it as a tray. Maybe don't put the florals down, however you like. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate